So many reasons we should celebrate music. So this is Viva, and I feel like I've known you since I moved back to Maine, like 10 years maybe.
I've been in
So,
Portland as an adult and in the music scene for 10 years. So,
yeah.
wow, I didn't realize that I met you like right when you got back, because I definitely met you right when I started, when I realized that there was a whole world here that I wanted to be part of.
Yeah, and you're rocking it. I
I got
feel
you.
like you have done so much in the past 10 years, and I just keep seeing your name. Like I saw your name pop up on Facebook the other day for like helping somebody learn how to drive, and I was like, is there anything she
Oh,
doesn't do?
but I had help learning how to drive, so then I was just paying it forward.
Through everything that you've done, and even through the beginning of like deciding you wanted to be a musician, what is music's power for you personally?
Um, it's a very many things, but I think the biggest thing is that it's kind of this grounding thing that reminds me of who I am. Because I'm one of those people where like if I put on a certain CD and something amazing happens at that time, like the first time I hear it, then that time every year I have to listen to that album, you know? And so music and my discovery of it has come alongside with my discovery of myself. So I've used it as like therapy, like going dancing Monday nights at the Big Easy way back when. I would just like dance my brains out and move so much that my body was just only using endorphins. Like that's all I was making. And I would try and like stay in that spot of like supremely elevated happy hormones, and then think about like, because I would go every week and I would think about like, what is troubling me, or especially not always Monday nights because the model airplane
What?
would get everybody dancing, but
Oh, that's what it was. I was trying to remember like
yeah.
what was on Monday nights.
They were
What decade?
I know, right? But I would go out every night that I could, literally every night, like after finishing a service industry job. And I would, if I felt self-conscious on the dance floor, because I would often mostly be the only person dancing, and I would try to make sure like I'm here dancing for myself, so I have to really mean it, which is going to be really obvious because I'm the only one up here. So I have to get to that place, that happy place. And then maybe that once I'm there, maybe then I can think about, why am I feeling self-conscious right now? And why am I letting that distract me from the glory of this music? Because I don't need all those thoughts of, are people watching me and judging me? I don't need that in order to enjoy this music. And that became like probably my first self-care practice.
Your energy is just so infectious, like being at your shows and seeing your shows and seeing the way other people interact. It's so inspiring because it makes everybody, I think, realize, well, maybe not realize, but they're using it as self-care probably, and
I hope so.
might not even think about it. So speaking of that, you are a performing musician and an incredible businesswoman, and have led lots of bands. And I've noticed that you seem to prioritize like paying everybody, which is incredible and doesn't always
You
happen.
notice. How else am I going to play with the best people? And also the music. This is something that is so important to me. I hope you hang on to the rest of your sentence, but I have to
Yeah.
jump on this. Paying musicians for the time that they spend on stage, it's not even really paying for the 3 hours or the 90 minutes that they're going to be on stage. In order to play the kind of music that I like at the emotional depth that I want to play it, I have to play with people who've spent a lot of time with their instruments, finding out what like kind of expensive instrument that they that they even want to use, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's never just a vibraphone, it's always like a specific thing. And like I've seen you lug like this massive machine basically, and deassemble it and put it, and then you have to assemble it, and then you have to make sure that it's all just right, and all of these pieces, they fit together just so, and they're all expensive, and they all took you hours to learn how to understand. And then you put that together with 5 or 13 other people who are performing at that level, and had to figure out transportation to get to and from the gigs. They have to sleep somewhere inside because everyone should get to do that if they want to. They have to eat, hopefully, nutritious food. I can't provide health insurance, but like that would be my dream as like an employer, would be to like play some music
Yeah.
with me this year. I would love to make sure that you have health care. And it just,
Oh,
I've been told by so many people, like, you're not praying yourself enough, or like, you should just pay you. And then everyone else, they'll come along for the ride when they realize how good you are. And it's like, no way. I've learned everything that I've ever learned about music has been from soaking it up from people around me,
mm,
especially the people I play with. Like, I'm not just going to take and take and take when they're giving me everything that I need to be myself. No
mm.
way. So thank you. It's been really important to me.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell. Hopefully you also are taking some
Oh
because that
yeah.
is,
No, I pay
yeah,
myself like any other
good.
musician.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the gig, is like,
Yeah.
I pay, you got to pay the band, as in like, make sure that the rehearsal space is taken care of, because for the non-musicians watching, you have to have some connections to real
Yes.
estate somehow. And then pay myself like any other instrumentalist, because yeah, God,
Yeah.
it's supposed to take care of us.
Hmm. This is something I think a lot about and I'm passionate about. Um,
Love
so
that.
I'll say the rest of the question and then we
Yeah.
can dig in more. But because I've also noticed that you give back to the community a ton. And so you perform and support like so many different organizations. And I've seen you at ACLU benefits and voting rights benefit. It was just like Equality Maine this year, I think you performed at. Yes. So awesome. So how do you balance all of that? Um, and I don't even know how to word the question. Just, I see that a lot for musicians, like because a lot of musicians are very empathetic and just like good people and give back. So how can we balance that and also get the community to realize that we do need healthcare and to live
Yeah.
under a roof and all of that?
Yes, and to eat produce.
Right.
Yeah. To pay back our student loans. I've been really, I think I've been particularly fortunate that the type of musicians that I've asked to play with me, who've said yes, have helped me create this thing that works really well for functions, but it's not dry. Like, we're not doing the same thing every single time. I've gotten to play with people who are willing to be creative and who want it to be fun every time. And honestly, like, the organizations that it's really meant a lot to me to work with are like SARSM, which is their sexual violence support and response group, Equality Maine, like you said, because that is massively important to me. As far as voting, like, all of these things are so tied to my values that I think it's helped me play with musicians who value human life the way that I do. And that kind of adds to the music too, because then I know I'm in a safe space with these people, like not a safe space, like, really, I'm with people who care about other humans, and I can like laugh with them. I can be totally goofy in front of them and they'll still think I'm cool. Like,
Because you are cool.
no, thank you for noticing. Sometimes I need to remind myself, but
That's so important. Just like a
is.
an authentically safe space and in rehearsing and on stage and it shows and yeah.
And it feeds me, so it doesn't feel like I'm giving up more than I can, you know, especially like when the world is dark, to kind of link up with people who understand the darkness. And some of them might have like the plans to build a lighting system, like, to link up with those people who are already doing organization work, who already understand the issues, so the burden is not on me to explain the issues. I can be in support in those spaces. I'm not in charge of solving the big problems. I'm just there to show up and help people feel good for a little bit. And so it's really easy for me to prioritize showing up for those things, because I'm getting so much back that it doesn't drain me. It doesn't leave me without room for me.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm switching gears because
Okay.
these are short
Wow.
interviews, so they're kind of random.
Okay, it's great. I'm here for all of it.
I just personally am interested in because I feel like all the music that you choose is like a lot of my favorite music and it comes from so many places. So I wonder who you feel are your sort of musical influences and like where you get inspired.
Ooh, I like music that paints a picture, and especially like bonus points if the music that is playing lets me imagine myself as the main character in my own Oscar nominated film. like I'm just in it for the romance. And so it could, like, genre wise, that covers so much. But this is relevant. I just started learning guitar. And because I'm doing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's that chord progression again. And I love it every time I hear it. And I keep hearing it in all these different genres. And that's the thing I like. And it's like the A minor, G, F, E7, like everywhere I hear that, I'm like, so I'm suddenly so sexy. Like, it's just, but then I might hear something like, I might hear like a really, really soft, like the dawn is breaking through the morning fog, like piano something. And I'm just like, wow, life is so romantic right now. And that's really what I'm in it for. And it covers so many genres, I think, especially because we're a storytelling species. And that's the music I like, is the stuff that tells the story. So, I mean, there are, like, it's really easy to point to bands that have influenced me, like since I was little, like Pink Martini or Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, but also there's this flamenco guitarist named Armik. And I grew up, like, there's one album that my mom used to play for the 8 hours going down to visit family and back, like just, things like that. But I think what's been really interesting for me living in Portland, where we have so many well-developed genres, like it's not a one genre city, which is pretty interesting to see, like, oh wow, the punk scene has like a lot going on in it. Like we have the worst, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't actually know that I liked this music, but then I heard them, or like Covered in Bees, like like, or Sunrunner, like the like this harder music that I didn't know I loved. Oh, it turns out I absolutely love it because it's still telling that story.
So, and it has that same kind of expression, and like I feel like they have shared values too. And yeah,
that's a big part of it, right?
So cool.
Yeah.
So you're learning guitar. Are you learning flamenco guitar?
So Sam James spent a month with me working on guitar, and he is such a treasure because he knows me so well. So literally the first thing that he did, he sat me down and he like handed me a guitar and he was like, here's what you do. which is bold. It's like, oh, okay, tell me what. I haven't even asked you for what to do yet. Like, I haven't told you which thing I want. No. Sam knows me so well. He knew, excuse me, it's the internet, Samuel at Blamuel James on Instagram. He knows me so well musically. He was like, here's what you do. And he walked me through my first thing, which turns out to be a thing that I love. And it is, when I get good at it, it will sound like flamenco guitar.
So cool.
But it was like a gateway. Oh man, I really wish that I was good at it and I could just lean over and grab the guitar and show you. But I mean, mostly
you will.
I totally will one day. And you're not going to expect it as the thing. I'm just going to, it'll be like totally relevant to a story that I need to tell. And then I'll just grab the guitar and the whole story.
Well, the last gig I had before the pandemic, I think, was with you, and I think you pulled out a ukulele, and I was like, she plays ukulele.
Oh, was that the last? That was the last gig. That was so. There was so much feeling that night and hope that night.
Yeah. Remember hope?
Yeah.
No, I'm just. There's
that?
Still some hope. It's just.
Oh my god, that night was the night. So Susan Sarandon hugged me. But then, so I introduced her on stage and she hugged me and I was like, oh my God. And she gave me a good hug. And I was like really surprised by that. But then I gave her the worst hug after that because I didn't think she was going to hug me again. And I'm still so embarrassed about it. I'm like, oh man, I can give such good hugs. I just didn't know that it was going to be cool. Like, I didn't want to be that weirdo who was like, come here. You've never seen me before tonight. And then,
Wait, was that also like the last hug you were allowed to give? Because it was like...
and it was the worst hug of my life.
Oh no.
And it was my fault.
I'm sure it was one of the best hugs she's had.
I mean, she's a great hugger, so the bar is high.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh. So do you have plans going into the summer for outdoor shows and I don't
Yeah,
know, like what's next for you?
here and there. It's been so honestly, when the pandemic started, you've known me through a lot of growth, and you've also seen me, as you mentioned, do a ton of gigs. And
Mm.
when the pandemic started, and I thought we were just taking like a 3 week breather, I was like, awesome. I'm gonna do that woodshed thing that everybody tells me about that I've never had a chance to do. And I think for that first little chunk, I was like, let's picture the biggest future that we can. And now I'm at this point where I'm like, my possibly 5 year, maybe I can pull it off sooner than that, plan is to play at music festivals in all of the places of my family's heritage, because I want to travel the world and I want to meet these musicians in all these places and find out their stories, and maybe they can tell me something about myself and I can tell other people by learning through myself something about the world. Like I have this, big thing. But then of
Mm.
course, last year got hard for some reason. And
Weird.
and I ended up, oh my God, Kate, I have to tell you this specifically because it's a music and health thing. So the night that all of my practices, because I was like in 4 bands, and running my own thing, all of my everything got canceled the same night, and I absolutely had a panic attack about it. And I managed it by grabbing a trombone.
Yes.
You can't, because the breathing, it's like breathing and it's a puzzle. So it's like, and because I'm not good at it yet, so I'm just like, where is that thing? And then I have to think, and then I can't panic. And so that was kind of my like anxiety management tool throughout the pandemic.
Oh, cool.
I had a serious grief attack like in August, and I didn't have a trombone near me. And it was so bad that I like had to stop driving and switch places with my partner, like in the middle of the road. And and my partner is a wonderful person who didn't laugh when I was like sobbing uncontrollably. And then I was like, I need vocal warm-ups. I need to do re mi. But I literally did vocal warm-ups for, I don't know, 20 minutes until I was like, not in the grief anymore. And I was back kind of in the world, back in my body. I remembered how to breathe. I was cued into something that I know. And I think having a big no put in front of my schedule was really good for me, for making sure that I learned these things about myself. So I'll play a couple gigs this summer. Mostly I'm gonna play a couple gigs with people that I really like, that I just enjoy being with, where I'm just gonna play percussion and like hang out in the back.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like just like be with people. And
cool.
and I definitely have 2 big shows coming up that we'll probably drop in the show notes, because I don't have those dates in front of me right now.
That's cool. Yeah, just let me know.
It'll be so solid though. And then I think the real trick of it is to take like, okay, I've learned how to adapt not going out, but like bringing music in to keep myself learning and keep myself physically engaged, so that I don't give over to, depression or anxiety or overwhelm or anger, like these things that I think it's important to feel all of those things, but I don't need to make my decisions from a place of within all of those things.
Yeah.
And I got a looper pedal. So
oh my gosh, my
it's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's really challenging, turns out. But I think after this summer, I'm going to take it easy and keep learning, because it's been really wild. Oh man. So a couple years ago, I was like, I want to play trumpet. And then it turns out trumpet's hard. So then I switched to trombone because it has the bigger mouthpiece.
Isn't that also hard?
Yes.
Okay. I can't play anything you need air for. Like I can't even blow up a balloon. So I'm like, trombone.
Oh man, that means you haven't gotten to the animal making stage,
Oh no.
I feel like that's the whole point of balloons, right?
Right. It's true.
No, I'm not good at the air things yet. Even singing, I feel like I'm better at it than I was, but I'm not where I want to be. So I have to learn to manage my air and do it in a way that makes me proud of myself, or else. But I've been playing with those things, and I have this little like dream of, what if I just keep taking time for myself and keep, like, this whole last year I've been reinvesting in my friendships. Like, what if I just kept doing that and I don't say yes to every gig, and I work on making something that I can travel with? That's the plan.
That's a great plan.
Thank you. I'm really
That is
excited.
awesome. Well, I'm excited to see what's next. You are one of the most driven and talented and just kind-hearted people that I know. So I'm happy that you're learning all these instruments too. That's so fun. It's like
So
just
much fun.
the world is your oyster, I guess.
And it's great because I don't have to be great at them. Like,
Yeah.
Emma Stanley already exists. I don't have to be the best trumpet player.
Look out, Emma.
She has nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's so fun though, just like finding things that are just fun and feel good and help you breathe in times of anxiety. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's power in itself. So.
I'm curious because I've, like, as I'm doing this and I'm kind of reframing how I think about, like, learning guitar is hard for me in the same way that reading a recipe is hard for me. Like, it's hard for me to pay attention to the directions long enough to get to the part where it tastes good. How do you manage that? If it's okay if I ask you questions.
Yeah.
How do you manage that, like, in a music therapy, like, session? How do you get people through the, like, here's how you get to where it feels good?
It's interesting. It's sort of like tricks, which I feel bad saying because I'm not trying to trick anybody, but I bring instruments that are already really accessible. So I'll bring a guitar and give it to somebody, but I tune it to an open D so that they
Yeah.
just strum it and it's already a chord that feels good and resonant. And they're like, oh, I played a chord. Instead of being like, okay, here's a guitar, like you have to put one finger here, and if somebody's like hospitalized and in a bunch of pain, they're not going to have the energy to like figure out that finger. So I just give them an already tuned guitar, which is great. And then I play chords around that thing and it feels good. Also, I know because I had to learn guitar to become a music therapist, and it was painfully hard because I grew up playing piano and drums, and I was like, this is physically painful to me. So I don't want to do that to people unless they want to.
Fair.
But yeah, lots of percussion instruments, just like things that are readily available and accessible and like pretty easy to play. Drums are great because you just hit them. It's like that feels good.
Yeah.
So,
And then
yeah.
you're like, you can get, also, I feel like especially if it's a drum that you're holding, you can get the resonance of the vibration and you can like feel it in your body.
Exactly. I work with a lot of people with hearing impairments, and you just bring like the biggest things that will resonate really well, so you can feel them. But it's harder when it's musicians because we're all so hard on ourselves and so used to trying to like play everything perfectly. And it's hard. It's just hard. I want to work with musicians and like help them through things. And I'm like, well, you're going to need to pick up an instrument you don't play.
Yes.
And
And
just
forgive
like
yourself for not having played it since you were 4.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, just like breathing into it. Trombone would be so cool. I've never really talked to trombonists. Yeah.
Fun. It's fun because it is a little, so my friend Alton was the one who was like, try it. Like, just see if it's okay, if it's fun. Like, here. And
Yeah.
it's not like a put your fingers like this and do this combination of things. He was like, see if you can get to the same place that I am. And he just held a note until I figured it out.
That's
And it
cool.
was such a, like, I had to really focus on myself, but also on him. And it was a very like patient and calm way to teach me how to access it. Because how else do you explain all of this except for by kind of like holding steady and letting somebody find it?